this demonstration, I will show how to configure EFM, how to perform important operations like switchover and switchback during the maintenance activity, and how EFM will detect the failure and perform auto failover. In this session, I will use two database server and one witness server. All three servers have CentOS 64-bit Linux operating system. I have already installed Enterprise DB Postgres Advanced Server 12.3.4 and EFM 3.10 is already also installed. Asynchronous streaming replication also configured and working fine. I will also use virtual IP address, and all the IP address are already mentioned on the screen. I hope after this demonstration you will get complete awareness about EFM and also able to implement in your environment. Now let me take you through the actual demo. So as I mentioned earlier, I have three nodes: primary, secondary, and witness. So on a primary, you can see the IP address is 192.168.56.201. On a secondary, the IP address is 192.168.56.202. And on witness server, IP address is 192.168.56.203. And the streaming replication between my primary server 201 and standby server 202 is working fine. Here you can see the streaming replication is up and running without any problem. I have already installed EFM 3.10 on all three nodes. If you would like to install in your environment, you need to execute yum install edb -efm 310. After the installation, you can see the binary files into this location. So the location is usr edb efm 3.10 bin, and these are the binary files for the EFM. And you can see the configuration files inside the etc edb efm 3.10. So this is the configuration files. After successful installation, you can see only these two files, efm properties.in and efm nodes.in. So now to configure it with to configure the EFM for auto failover, you need to create a copy of these two files. So here you can see that I have create the copy of efm.nodes and efm.properties. And after that I have already changed the ownership of these files to EFM. After that, first need to open this file, which is efm.properties file. So here you can see that these all these parameters, so many parameters which are related to the EFM. And here you can see these are the parameters are useful for the EFM health checks. Based on your current DB setup, you can mention these details. It is highly recommended to use the encrypted password in your setup, and you can get the encrypted password with the help of EFM encrypt utility. Now db.service.owner, here you have to mention the owner of your PG data directory. In my case, I have mentioned the enterprise DB. db.service.name, in this parameter you need to mention the OS level service name. This in my case it is edb as12.service. This service will be run using service or systemctl OS level command. db bin, path of your bin directory, db.data directory, the path of your PG data directory. Sorry, user.email, and so from email it is useful to send and receive the notification. Then this is the important parameter, bind.address. This is the important parameter. Here in this parameter, we need to mention the IP address of the server and port which will be bind with JGroup to communicate with other nodes on EFM cluster. The default port is 7800, but I have used 9998. Then is the admin port. This is a port which is useful for an administrative service to perform certain operations like cluster status. The default port is 7809, but I have used 9999. Another important parameter is witness. So this parameter is used to specify that whether this is a witness node or not. So I have started my configuration from the witness server, and this is my witness server. So I have used true. Then after, you can see this couple of parameters here. This parameters, with these parameters, EFM will monitor the local DBs on specified interval as per the local dot period parameter. And if it will not get any response within the local dot timeout parameter, the value of the local dot timeout parameter, then it will perform the final check as per the mentioned value in local dot timeout final parameter. All the values are in seconds. After that, you can see this remote timeout. This parameter is used to check if a remote database is responsive or not within the mentioned timeout value before performing failover. Node.timeout. This parameter will wait to the specified number of seconds before determining that node has failed or disconnected. After that, you can see the stop isolated master and stop failed master. So with this parameter, you can specify that database should be shut down or not if master agent isolated from the cluster or failed to the network failure. Failed due to the network failure. Yeah. So so this is the decision maker, like what action needs to be done on master database. Another parameter is a master shutdown as failure. So this parameter will treat master agent shutdown as a failure. Then auto failover. This parameter is auto failover. This parameter is used to determine that whether failover will happen automatically or not in case of the master failure. Auto reconfigure. When standby promotes as a master, then in that case, this parameter will update the remaining standbys to use the newly promoted master. Now, these are the virtual IP related parameters. This VIP parameter section will help you to achieve auto failover seamless from application point of view. And check VIP before promotion. This parameter will check whether the VIP is still in use before promoting after a master failure. So, so these are all the important parameters which we need to configure to achieve the auto failover. Once it is done, you can save this file. Now my auto failover related parameter in EFM config in EFM auto failover parameter is it's done. Now we need to after that we need to modify this another configuration file which is known as efm.nodes. In this parameter file, sorry, in this configuration file, we need to mention the IP address of all the members of EFM cluster, and when EFM agent starts, it will use this file to locate other cluster members as well. So now here you can see in this file, I have mentioned all the IP address of my DB servers, primary and standby, and witness servers itself. So with these three servers, my EFM cluster is created. So I have mentioned this, and I already saved this file. Now witness server, or now on the witness server, all the EFM related configuration is done. And we need to copy these files to primary and secondary server in same location, etc edb EFM 3.10, and change the ownership to EFM. So I already have these files on this particular server. See here, you can see this file. So now in this file, what we need to change? We need to change only two parameters, bind.address and is.witness. So let me show you this efm.properties file. So here you can see that bind.address we have to set as per our primary server details. So this is my 201 is my IP address of my primary server. So I have mentioned this IP address, and this server is not a witness. So is witness is equal false. So this two parameter is, once you modify this, save it and move to the secondary server. And here also need to do the same kind of changes. Bind.address based on my IP address of the secondary servers, which is 202, and it is also, again, it is not a part of, it is not a witness server, so I have mentioned is witness is equal false. Save and exit. Now all the configuration is done. Then let's start the EFM services on a witness server first. So this is my witness server, and this is the command to start the services. Okay, so now witness server is started. Let's see the status of EFM. Okay, so you can see that a witness now witness is we can see the details of a witness server in the EFM cluster. Now I'm going to start the service first on primary server with the same command, systemctl start. Okay, the service is also started on primary server, and now I'm going to start the service on the standby server. It's a secondary server. Okay, now both EFM service are running on both primary and standby servers. So now I'm going to see the status again. Okay, so here you can see that the details of master server and standby server along with its replication details. Now let me show you how to perform a switchover and switchback with EFM. So I must say, EFM does automatic failover when master goes fail due to any reason. But switchover is more of a manual work where both nodes are healthy, but you would like to perform OS patching or DB patching. Then in that case, switchover is going to very helpful. So I'm going to perform now switchover. So here I have mentioned source node and IP address of 202 because 202 IP address is my standby server, and 201 is a master server IP address. So now I'm going to switch the role. Oh, sorry. This. Okay. So now switchover is done. Okay. So let's go and see the status. See here, you can see that now my IP address is 202 become a master, and standby is 201, and still replication is working fine without any error. Okay, so you can see that it's very easy to perform a switchover with the help of EFM, and during your maintenance activity of OS patching or DB patching, it's going to be very helpful. Now I'm going to perform a switch back again, back to my original state, which is primary is my 201, and standby is 202. Okay, so here you can see my switchback is also performed without any error. So let me see the status of this. See, again, now everything is going back to the original state. And still replication is working fine, no error. Now, as you see that how it is very easy, how it's very easy to perform switch over and switch back with EFM. Now I'm going to show you how EFM will detect the failure and perform auto failover. So now I'm going back to my primary server, and I'm going to crash my EDB PostgreSQL. So this is Okay, so this is my okay, so I'm going to kill my ADB process. So I've killed this. So crash is created, and now you can see that PostgreSQL is not running on my primary server. Now my DB is crashed, right? So let's see what happened inside the EFM. So I'm going to see the status. Now you can see that it is still showing this prime master server as 201 and standby is 202. But now here you can see that the agent is not able to, the replication is not working. So now they, based on their timeout parameters, the EFM agents is still trying to check and get the perform the checks whether the DB is reachable or not. And when they keep on trying to get the status on that. So as it takes some time, what are the based on our timeout parameters. Now you can see that they now agent got the final checks performed and get the final status. This database of 201 is not reachable. So now it is become agent become idle, and they are promoting the 202 as a master server. Now you can see that promotion is successfully done, and 202 will become my master server, and 201 is idle only. So there is no replication right now. So it is working as a 202 working as a master, standalone master. So by using the VIP, here you can see the VIP is also assigned to newly promoted master server. So by using the VIP, there is no requirement to change the application connection string, and after successful failover, your application can be able to re-establish the connection to newly promoted master. I'm sure now you get the clear idea about the EFM and its capability. That's it from my side. Goodbye, everyone.